Hello and welcome to our ongoing book club for the book, The Art of Returning to Love, How to Show Fear and Stress the Exit and Heal. And if you don't yet have the book, then please know that you can grab it for free. There's a link in the description box. You can also, if you don't want to read a PDF, you can go to Amazon and it's very well priced. I'm not into making money on the book. I'm into getting the message out and having these kinds of conversations. So what we're turning to today, our attention is what it actually means to heal. And years ago, the acronym dropped in for heal, which is, so if HEAL, H is health, E is for expression and ease and empowerment, A is for abundance, and I'm talking about the abundance of good things to thrive in life, not just money, and L is for love and light. And the thing about this is that this capacity to heal at any level, you can just pick whichever one is most present and important to you at any given time, is coded in every single one of your cells, of my cells, of every human being's cells. We have over 100 trillion cells, and inside every single one of those cells are atoms, and in every single one of the atoms are protons and electrons, and the electron is the blueprint. And it lives in our DNA, right? And our DNA is actually changing from what we've always known, at least in a section of history, to be a 2-strand carbon-based DNA to a 12-strand crystalline-based DNA. And inside of that DNA are blueprints for every single thing a human being needs to thrive and to create a world that mirrors that thriving, right? So most hearts that I connect with yearn for peace and for, at an individual and at a collective level, and for the ability to reach into a real sense of joy and happiness, not a false sense, not the sense of happiness and joy that's held out, in a more cultural, what's the word, external way, I guess is the way to say it. And for the abundance and for thriving soil and for clean air and for, an ability to have relations with family, communities, countries, right? Now, a lot of human minds will say, oh, that's not possible because, just look at history. But what I'm trying to inspire minds and hearts toward is that's not the only way. Like, it is a version of truth, and we know that because we've been living it, but it's not the greatest version of truth that we have access to. And so, the invitation is to step on a path and to ask the source of life, your higher presence, your higher wisdom, your higher self, to teach you what's really true about the situation. That is the path. In the Course in Miracles, if you've ever been exposed to that body of work or you know anything about it, it's the Holy Spirit that we, moment by moment, breath by breath, invite and ask to show us the truth of the matter, right? I was talking to someone last night and she's like, well, I don't know how to know what's the right thing to do. And I said, well, there isn't a way to know that until you're in the moment and whatever's happening is happening, and you request your higher self to show you what is real and true about this moment, and then to be guided to say whatever you need to say, or to not say a thing, or to have an action for that particular moment. And it isn't, the human mind wants things to be cut and dry. The human mind wants a manual, and then it'll go through that manual and it'll determine whether it's safe to live that way, because that's what the human mind does, is it's all about protection and safety. And there's defenses that the human mind puts up if it's afraid of the safety, your safety, right? But that manual doesn't exist. And so there's this constant tug of war inside of us, isn't there? I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't experience this to some degree, where it's like the push-pull between safety and inquiry, or safety and opening up to a greater truth, right? And here's what I can offer, and I'm just scratching the surface of all this stuff, but I know it lives, and it now lives in me because I refuse to get off this path. And so, and the reason I know that's a good choice is because I've tried a lot of paths, and none of them have given me the sense, the inner knowing, the trust, and the faith, and the external evidence, right? That there's really treasure here on this path, and that love is an exquisite, elegant, competent director of our lives, right? But my job and your job is to take a breath in that moment. So this is why the prerequisites to doing this work is being present and being in your body, because all of the guidance shows up in our body, right? All of those 100 trillion cells that carry the blueprint of wholeness is in your body. It's not in your head alone. The head was designed to serve the heart and the embodiment of love. And so this is what our work is to continue coming back to the heart, the heart space. So when I was talking to this gal last night, I was like, well, because we don't realize how much in our heads we are. We're so conditioned, and it's such an autopilot nanosecond move to go right to the head space. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not the whole picture, right? There's a huge amount of wisdom that's held in the chalice of our heart, and we forget to invite it, right? So I asked her, I said, can you drop into your heart space as well and allow that part of your wholeness to gift you and give you insights and give you guidance, right? Our guidance system, we most of us feel it in that solar plexus. So that's the space, that the energy center right below our heart space. And so when we're really in a connection with that part of our body, it is infallible, the guidance and the direction that you can be given from that place. And then the key is, because this happens also, is to follow the guidance, because what will happen almost instantaneous is the head will say, oh, no, but there's this and that and this and that and all these things, and so we need to do it this way. And I fell prey to that for years until I thought, well, let me just see what happens. I hear you. I stopped resisting this part, and I thought, I said, oh, I hear you, but let's see what happens if we do it, if we listen here. If we listen here in our heart, from our heart and from our guidance center. And I was kind of pleasantly surprised over and over, and things always unfolded in a way that was really serving to myself and everyone around me, no matter what the circumstance was. So the invitation is to give this part of your self, with a capital S, a chance, because when a human being is willing to consider that there is actually a view beyond the small view that our mind only lets us see, we think that's the way life is, then this is the earnest journey home to returning to love. And this is, we've heard the saying, the truth shall set you free, right? And I have to say this, that the intellectual knowledge of truth alone will not bring you these results. And then what happens is that people try, and they're only doing it from this intellectual angle alone, and then they're like, oh, this doesn't work. There's nothing here, right? But it's because they think they're doing the work, but they're only doing the work from an intellectual capacity, and they're not dropping into their heart to include this sacred portal that opens up into much more than you can ever imagine, but you won't know it until you practice it, right? It must be felt. The truth, whatever the truth, the broader truth to whatever's going on for you in the moment, it has to be felt in your body and practiced in your moments. And this is literally the work. We can, and I do recommend sitting and doing meditation, or however you do your meditation, But if all we do is that and we're not feeling it in our body and practicing in our moments, then we're not actually doing the work, right? So for people who get frustrated, and I hear this a lot, for people who get frustrated that they're doing all these things, but it's not working for them, then the piece to turn to is being in your body and practicing it in your moments. And that's where you'll start discovering, oh, that's where the meat is. And then it's like stringing pearls. And you keep stringing these pearls, which are moments, which you're inviting your higher presence, and your higher presence is in a reciprocal, dynamic exchange with you and life, guiding you to the best choice for that moment. And you see it unfold in glorious and beautiful ways. Maybe I'm being dramatic when I use those words, but over time it starts feeling that way, right? And let's just say, to start out with, it's good, right? Like, you notice those are good things that you're being guided to, and the choices that you're being inspired to make are highly serving. And this is all carried on your breath and honored in your heart. And this is the way you access the truth in the moment, right? And a truth, this is important, is something that is true for everyone and all of life all the time. So a breath is a good example of that, right? Like, the breath is an exchange of life force. Human beings take it in the form of an inhale and an exhale, and there's this reciprocal exchange with life and life force. It's way more than just oxygen. I've talked about this before. And all other forms of life are exchanging with this life force in their own way, right? So that is a truth because it's true for all beings at all time. It's also true that all human beings are an extension of the source of life, therefore already whole and worthy and good enough, right? A belief is not a truth. We are so conditioned and programmed by beliefs that they feel true. And it's not that they don't have some element of truth, but it isn't the whole picture. That's what I'm trying to sort of say. And the other thing is that the other way that we could consider a truth is that every particle of life, every electron of life, every particle and wave is a particle of light. That is a truth. So it means that every 100 trillion of your cells, and there's too many particles and waves that make up you as a human being to even count, right? We're way into crazy numbers when we talk 100 trillion cells. Inside every single cell is 100 trillion atoms, right? Like, that's just big time math, more than I'm capable of calculating. But I can feel all that light. I can invite it into my body. I can access it as a practice in my moment. And that light, I like working with light because sometimes it feels nebulous, right? Like the source of life, the life force, love, right? It feels nebulous. But when I work with light and I see light and I invite light and I gift light to everything that's going on in my world, then it becomes a little bit more tangible, right? So this is how. So then let's bring this together. Our beliefs and what we think are true in the moment, while we're in our body, present to our breath, as much as we can be, present to the thing, whatever the thing is that's happening. We invite our higher presence to teach us what is true and what is false. What ideas and beliefs we have are true or false. Which patterns we're living that feel absolutely who we are tangled in the web of fear. And we just untangle all of that, breath by breath, moment by moment, day by day, month by month, year by year. And this is the path of returning yourself to love, piece by piece. Whatever shows up moment by moment. And this is the work. And I just want to put a mild warning forth that if all the work you're doing, and I know you're doing a lot of good work, whatever the buffet is that that you've taken from that buffet that you want to help you be a more loving, connected to life, connected to source of life person. All of those things are really good. And but they won't get you where you want to go if you leave these core pieces out, which is being in your body and moment by moment practicing through whatever version you've chosen off the buffet, right? So it's really important to to honor that and to practice that. And it's okay if it's clunky and wobbly in the beginning. It will feel that way because we're so used to doing it instantaneously from our headspace, leaving out everything else. So creating that choice point that we've talked about in previous book club time, where you just take that breath and you let that choice point inform you, and you invite your higher presence to teach you, what that truth is. So let's leave it at that. Just if you would take the week and practice dropping into your body, including your heart, noticing what your gut has to say and guide you around in any given experience, and be present to your moments in this way, and it won't be big and dramatic, but it'll be subtle, but it'll be enough for you to notice that there's something there. And then you keep doing it, and it adds up, and it builds a momentum that is more. It will walk you home. It will walk you home to your more of your true self than our head ever could. I have nothing against our head. I just know that our head is not the only game in town. And if our head could get us to the places that we wanted, like being whole and healed and expressed and abundant and in loving connection with all of creation, then it would have done it by now, but she doesn't know how. So my invitation is to expand the way you roll in your life, and include your heart, and include your connection to your higher self, and that spirit that flows literally in, through, and around every particle of your being. It's a life force. It is your life force, and having and cultivating a relationship with that teaches you everything you need to know about yourself and your life, and how to up level things that have gotten stuck, or any of the heal parts of your body that need healing and regeneration, right? So go play with that over the week. Do share anything that has spoken to you, any ahas you've gotten. Next week we're going to actually talk about consciousness and the variations in consciousness, like our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, our superconscious mind, that kind of thing. So it's kind of exciting because, if we don't know that there are these distinctions in our consciousness, then everything just feels soupy and sometimes not clear. So thank you for your for being here, whether you're watching live or on the replay. I'm Laurie Morse, a 30-year practitioner of Chinese medicine and the founder and director of the Sacred Health Academy, which is an online experience of walking oneself along this sacred health journey. It's a sacred health path, and everybody wants to live with, a calm heart and peace in their mind and energy in their body. That's mostly what we're looking for, so that we can have a life that feels like it's thriving, at all levels. So go grab the book, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week.